The 2010 post-apocalyptic thriller The Book of Eli is making a comeback, but this time as a prequel series on the small screen. The cult classic starred Denzel Washington as the mysterious Eli, a blind wanderer navigating a devastated world while carrying humanity's last hope. With its gritty setting and intense action, the film was a prime example of the kind of action movies Hollywood was churning out in the late 2000s. And here's the kicker. Rumors are swirling that a sequel might be in the works too. So here's everything we know so far. As we know, the Book of Eli is steeped in deeper meaning and features a shocking twist. The Book of Eli follows Denzel Washington as the titular Eli, a rugged survivor traversing a post-apocalyptic wasteland in possession of a mysterious book that it's quickly apparent many are willing to kill for. Though the average critical response was negative, some praised the Book of Eli's gripping plot and exciting twist on the post-apocalyptic genre. Even among a wealth of other films tackling the same subject, the Book of Eli manages a world build in a way that is constantly compelling, and the movie grossed over $150 million. The Book of Eli surprises viewers with a bounty of twists while never turning its back on the strong use of symbolism that carries throughout the plot. This heavy thematic depth also means the Book of Eli ending leaves plenty to unpack, a fact responsible for its cult success over a decade after its debut. After securing the book, which is revealed to be an intact copy of the Bible, at the end of the Book of Eli, the evil Bill Carnegie returns to his town and enlists the help of the engineer to break the lock that holds it closed. Meanwhile, Eli and Solara arrive in the remains of San Francisco and row out to Alcatraz Island, where they are greeted by Lombardi and his people, who are working to preserve the sum of human knowledge that came before the nuclear holocaust that wiped out civilization. Carnegie manages to get Eli's Bible open, only to discover that it was written in Braille and that he has no way of reading it. Though he loses the Bible in the fight with Carnegie, Eli remembers its entire contents by heart and can recount the words to Lombardi, who eagerly begins writing everything down. Back in town, Carnegie is confronted by Claudia, who refuses to translate the Braille for him and alerts him that his quest to secure the book has led him to lose control of his city. As Carnegie's influence crumbles, Eli's mission reaches its culmination, proving that his journey was never about the physical book, but rather the preservation of its teachings. Though the Book of Eli gives very little indication that Eli cannot see, it nevertheless pulls a shocking twist by revealing that he is blind. One of the things that make the Book of Eli an underrated 2010s sci-fi movie is that it continues to push its concept further and further, and Eli's blindness isn't just a meaningless twist. Brilliantly revealed in the scene where Carnegie discovers the Bible is in Braille, the twist ending comes about slowly as opposed to being a moment that overemphasizes itself, and it completely changes the Book of Eli's story. Unlike many other movie twists that make a rewatch unnecessary, the reveal of Eli's blindness makes the Book of Eli a more compelling experience on a second viewing. Eli's blindness also makes him more dynamic because his very existence becomes symbolic. Throughout the movie, Eli espouses the power and importance of faith, and though he never uses the exact words, faith has always been described as blind belief. Eli is the living embodiment of faith because he allows himself to be led by a higher power on an adventure that would normally be impossible for someone who is visually impaired. Action movies where the main character dies are rare, but the Book of Eli's ending is made better because Eli doesn't survive. Instead of giving him an all-guns-blazing finale that would have tipped the movie into sillier territory, Eli's morose and subtle death is appropriate for a character who isn't an action hero by choice. Eli's death at the end of the Book of Eli is almost a necessity because it reflects elements of the Bible and the many other figures who also met their end in pursuit of faith. The gunshot wounds Eli suffers from Carnegie earlier in the movie lead to his death, but not before he can impart his knowledge of the Bible to Lombardi. Having made the ultimate sacrifice, Eli trades his life to protect the religion he holds dear, mirroring Christian martyrs who would later become saints in some denominations. The power of sacrifice is one of the central tenets of most religions, but it is especially important in Christianity when considering the story of Jesus and his death in the New Testament, something the hero's journey in the Book of Eli mirrors. Despite not being a critical success, the Book of Eli is anything but a disposable blockbuster with no substance. Nearly every aspect of the story serves some larger purpose in the grand scheme of things, and the plot is rich with meaning. The Book of Eli makes it clear in the end that Christianity isn't the sole specific message that is to be taken away from the story, because the newly printed Bible takes its place among other holy books. Instead, the Book of Eli is ultimately about the power of ideas and how they can be wielded for good and bad purposes. Carnegie wanted to use the Bible as a means of controlling the minds of those around him, while Lombardi and Eli were keepers of knowledge who only wanted to benefit humanity. Ironically, Eli cryptically suggests in the voiceover that the apocalyptic war was fought over religion, which makes his mission all the more imperative. In the end, the Book of Eli doesn't endorse one religion over another, but instead warns of the power of such belief, showing how both intense good and unfathomable evil can spring from the very same well of ideas. The Book of Eli has been a cult success as far as post-apocalyptic movies go, with many fans hoping for a sequel. While there are currently no plans for the Book of Eli 2, there is another project that will extend the fascinating story. A Book of Eli prequel series starring John Boyega is currently in development, with screenwriter Gary Whitta set to return. While details remain scarce, it is known that Whitta plans for Boyega to star as a younger version of Eli. As for the plot, since the Book of Eli had a pretty definitive ending, the prequel will probably take us back to before the world fell apart. It could start right before the apocalypse and explore how Eli went from an ordinary guy to the skilled fighter on a mission we saw in the movie. And what about the Book of Eli 2? Well, a sequel has been rumored since 2010, but it's looking unlikely. The movie's ending wrapped up things in a way that doesn't really call for a continuation. However, if the prequel series does well, it might reignite interest in expanding the franchise in other ways. Maybe even another prequel, filling in more gaps before the events of the film. Who knows? If this show takes off, the possibilities are endless. And that wraps up today's video. If you want to stay updated on all the latest movie news, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up.